You can see from this array of games that the necessity of learning how to read and write has always been a primary driver for children. This is something that educationalists and parents identified very early as the way to succeed in life if you are literate. Then we've got something probably aimed at much younger children, and there are little pots. And the first little pot is the picture alphabet, and it was made by Kendall and Son, Birmingham. It's got a very pretty little picture on the lid as well, and it dates from about 1845, 1850. And on some of them you can actually see infant tooth marks. And you've got a little picture and the letter. This set, which we don't know who made them because the box is too battered. And these are wood, and they're covered with paper with pictures on, and then covered with some kind of varnish. And again you can see areas where they've been used as teething rings. And you've got some really quite challenging options. F for fiddle, X is for Xerxes, who presumably was acceptable because he appeared in the Bible. Y for youths. These are examples of horn books, and what you had basically was usually a piece of wood, which might be this size or a bit wider or a bit smaller, and you'd have a piece of printing on it with the alphabet, possibly some joined together vowels or consonants, and then you'd have a small piece of, well, it'd probably be the Lord's Prayer, usually the Lord's Prayer. And children would have this as their first reading aid. And it was very handy, really, because when the teacher wasn't looking, you could use them to hit things over the desks. And this is Peacock's Improved Double Dissection. Now, dissection is a dissected map. And a dissected map is basically a geographical jigsaw. And that's what they called them. They called them dissected maps. And this is geography and history of Europe. So it's very looking outside the boundaries of the UK. I suspect because of the trade angle, this was probably quite a theme in Victorian education, that you would bring your children up to be as well educated as possible. And then when you turn it over, you've got a different style of map altogether. This is a common format for historical maps. What children would do is they would learn basically when different rulers came to the throne and when they left the throne and why. This is showing you some interesting people in historical order and what they did, so that you'd be able to talk a little bit about this, but not too much, just to show you were educated. And not all of the things are, strictly speaking, historically accurate. They're more a series of historical myths, some of them. Well, I know there's a question of whether the princes in the tower were murdered or not. So it's full of the sort of things you'd expect, you know, battles, deaths of very important people, the fire of London, Charles II hiding in the oak. So they're stories, they're little stories designed to help children remember what they've been taught. We have the New Parlour spelling game reading made easy. So you've got 6 lines of text that you can put whatever you like in, and it enables you to learn how to spell without necessarily being able to write it down terribly well. So children whose writing abilities were not terribly developed could still improve their spelling by picking out the words and putting them on the frame. Here we've got the educated monkey. He's a tin toy from the Educational Toy Manufacturing Company in Springfield, Massachusetts. He is an early calculator. So you put his little feet at, say, 7 times 11. So you line up 1 on the 7, 1 on the 11, and the result is shown in the little box between his hands, which is 77. He dates from 1918, so he's at the end of the First World War. It ties into the philosophy of teaching children but make it enjoyable so they'll take in the information more readily.